Welcome learners. Today's topic is challenges of environmental education. In the previous lectures, we have discussed about the need, importance and scope of environmental education. Now, as we want to implement it in the school system or in any system of education, we face various challenges in India also and in abroad also. But since we are concerned more with our country, so my today's discussion with respect to challenges of environmental education will be in Indian context. So in the context of Indian education system, we are discussing the challenges of environmental education. Today's lecture will comprise of various aspects, like firstly I will introduce the topic to you, then we will discuss various challenges one by one, like inadequate content, time allotment for environmental education, lack of activities related to environmental education, lower academic value, overburdened curriculum, lack of trained teacher, negligence in eligibility criteria for teachers, lack of career counseling, and lack of organizational support. So these are various challenges. So let us start one by one. Addressing environmental issues is a major concern of the entire globe. Industrialization, population, pollution, poverty, and hunger for luxury are major causes of environmental degradation. The problem of environmental degradation has not been limited nowadays to only one country or one region of the country. It has increased to the entire globe, and it has reached to the heights of its extremity in various parts of the country and in various parts of the globe. Education has a vital role to play alongside other stakeholders in generating environmental awareness. There are NGOs, there are governmental bodies, and there are various departments of education everywhere, and they are performing their own role. But along with those agencies, education has an important role, a very important role to play, because teachers' impact and impact of education as a whole is very impressive, and it has everlasting effects on students and on various communities and in society at all. Education itself has many challenges that hinder in awakening citizens to care for the planet. So, imparting environmental education has become a challenge nowadays. In India, we are facing a lots of problem. We are not reaching the people in general education. We have not achieved the target of universalization of elementary education itself. We have not approached to each and every citizen and each and every child in order to give him or provide him proper education. And specifically, environmental education is facing a lot of challenges. So let's see what are various challenges that we are facing in India in order to incorporate environmental education in the curriculum and in order to provide environmental education at various levels of schools, colleges, universities, and in higher education system. Some initiatives have been taken by the Government of India through various boards, through NCERT and through UGC. Government has started taking steps. For example, the UGC has introduced environmental education as a compulsory undergraduate subject across various disciplines including arts, science and commerce. So far as NCERT is concerned, it has incorporated environmental education at the school level nationwide. In state boards, almost all Indian states have integrated environmental education through their respective state curricula. So we can see that at state level, at national level, and through UGC in higher level institutions, we have tried, the government of India has taken steps and initiatives to incorporate environmental education throughout the country at various levels of education. So, curriculum designed at all levels to integrate environmental issues across various disciplines and across various subjects is an important step taken by the government of India. But despite all these initiatives, many loopholes remain and they are demanding urgent diagnosis and reform. You see, revision of curriculum should be there every year. A thorough revision should be there because we are changing ourselves. The environment is changing, the conditions and situations of country is changing. So according to the situation, we should proceed further. So we should revise the syllabus depending upon the current need. So as the situation demands, we should try to revise our curriculum and we should try to incorporate the recent developments and the recent demands of the society, of the nation and the community. There are 9 key challenges which have been described as main targets in environmental education in India. Number 1 is inadequate content. Number 2, insufficient time allotment. Number 3, lack of activities related to environmental education. Lower academic value, overburdened curriculum, lack of environmental awareness and teacher training, negligence in eligibility criteria for teachers, lack of career counseling, and lack of organizational support. These had been reported by Karma Sharpa et al. 2022. These are only 9 key challenges, and other challenges are not limited to only these 9, but these may be treated as the most crucial or most important key issues with respect to the challenges of environmental education. But there are many more challenges with respect to incorporating or imparting environmental education in India. Now we will describe it one by one. So the first challenge that we have taken over here is inadequate curriculum content. Environmental education content in India is often fragmented and it lacks sufficient depth to address contemporary environmental challenges. This point has been pointed out by NCERT in 2005. So NCERT has observed that the content of environmental education in Indian education system is often fragmented and it lacks sufficient depth to address contemporary environmental challenges. As observed by UNESCO in 2020, curriculum frameworks emphasize theoretical knowledge more than experiential and field-based learning. So UNESCO has came to the point that while imparting environmental education, we should switch over to the practical aspect and we should emphasize more on experiential learning rather than theoretical knowledge. So this is also very important aspect, that in order to incorporate the curriculum of environmental education and in order to implement the curriculum of environmental education in the system, we generally include the theoretical aspects and we neglect experimental part, the practical part, whereas more important part in this regard is experimental part or practical work, the field work, etc., so that the children get first hand experiences and they know the problems of environment by being in the environment, not from outside. As once it was said that environmental education is education for the environment, by the environment and through the environment. So it is for the environment, for taking care of the environment. It should be by the people, that is first hand experience should be provided to them, and it should be through the environment, that is by being in the environment. So students receive limited opportunities for direct interaction with environmental issues in their local communities. This has been observed by Palmer in 1998. Tilbury in 1995 has observed that without first-hand environmental experiences, learners may find it difficult to develop environmental responsibility and sustainable behavior, unless and until the students and the children are brought to the environment directly and they come across the environment, they realize the issues related to environment by themselves by getting first hand experience, it will be difficult to develop in them a sense of responsibility, and it should be difficult to mold their behavior towards sustainable environment. Environmental education content should connect classroom learning with real world environmental problems and community needs. This has been observed by authors Siddiqui and Khan in 2015. So most of the educationists and environmentalists are realizing, and they have coined the point, they have brought into our knowledge that environmental education is being imparted not by being in the environment, rather from being outside the environment. So this gap of personal experience and getting knowledge should be bridged up. Learners need practical skills, critical thinking and lifelong learning competencies to address environmental challenges effectively. This has been observed by UNESCO in 2017. The environmentally responsive curriculum should be practical in nature. It should not just be exam oriented and based on theory recitation, that the students have to recite some theoretical aspects and they pass out examination. It should be more practical rather than theoretical. Second thing is that it should be responsibility oriented and it should promote care for the natural environment. It should be awareness based, highlighting human actions causing environmental degradation. First hand experience should be there, so the curriculum should be first hand experience driven, fostering genuine environmental sensitivity. It should be action oriented, encouraging learners to take meaningful environmental initiatives. The children should be taken to the fields. They should be taken to the practical environment, the vicinity where they live, so that they can assess what are the problems in their vicinity and how can they overcome those environmental problems which are there in their vicinity. So it should be action oriented. It should be experiential rather than purely academic or classroom based instruction. Challenge number 2, insufficient time allotment. You see, generally in our country 1 to 2 periods per week are allotted for environmental education. Only 1 to 2 periods per week. So this is inadequate time given to environmental education in most of the schools in India. It is treated as additional or substitution subject, not a core discipline. It is scheduled in marginal slots, often placed after lunch or on low priority days. So, the weightage which is given to other subjects like maths, science, social science, languages, such weightage is not given to environmental education. So, its schedule in timetable should be increased and more periods should be given to or assigned to the environmental education. CBSE mandates at least 2 periods per week with graded assessment, rarely followed meaningfully. The people generally take environmental education content for granted. They don't take it seriously. So their negligence results into unmeaningful convey of the curriculum. So it should not be like that, and due weightage should be given to the environmental education and the periods which are allotted for environmental education content. What happens in board exams? It has been observed that the 10th class students who have a pressure of board exam, they consider environmental education and such outdoor activities as an extra and unnecessary burden or load. So this attitude of the board students is not good and it should be modified. They should develop positive attitude towards the environment and its content. Ensuring sufficient time for environment learning is need of the hour. 2 environmental education periods per week are mandatory under CBSE guidelines. It should be increased. Student performance is assessed through grades rather than formal examinations. So, in final examination, the weightage should be there on environmental education also, just like the weightage given on other subjects. Environmental education activities are often perceived as an additional burden by board exam students. It should also be resolved and their burden should be reduced so that they can take the assignments under environmental education wholeheartedly with due interest and with due time. Heavy academic workload limits participation in environmental activities. So the workload should also be reduced. Various committees of India and commissions which have been set up time to time have focused on reducing the burden of curriculum, but still we have not been able to reduce the burden of curriculum and academic workload. Environmental education is frequently overshadowed by examination oriented subjects. Children put more emphasis on other subjects like science subjects, like languages, English and other subjects, and they focus less on environmental education. So greater balance is needed across all areas of the curriculum. Third challenge is lack of environmental activities. Insufficient time allotment plus curriculum burden results into the educational institutions having little capacity for environmental activities. Activities are limited to plantation drives only or community cleanliness and typically only once a year. Generally, on the World's Environment Day, that is 5th June, people used to plant trees and a plantation drive is organized in the schools and in other institutions just to celebrate World Environment Day on 9th June. And in such a hot season, they plant trees which most of the time is not successful. Plants don't grow in such a hot weather. So the tree plantation should be reserved for rainy seasons in the month of July, August, and in while celebrating World Environment Day, we should incorporate some other activities like the problems of garbage disposal, the problems of water logging, and the problems which are there in the community. So many other programs, symposium, discussions, play, drama, and this gully nukkad type of activities, campaign programs, these programs should be incorporated rather than only planting trees on 5th June. Environmental awareness activities rarely include awareness campaigns or community work. Except on these days, no opportunity is given to learners to sense environmental issues and address them. So, rich, impactful alternatives remain entirely unexplored in most Indian schools and colleges. This is a very severe challenge this is a severe challenge in front of the implementation of environmental education programs in India. Lack of environmental activities include the field visits, the slogan writing, poster making competitions, debates and discussions, awareness rallies, symposiums. So there is a need of incorporating field visits in the co-curricular activities of schools. Limited opportunities are there to connect with real world environments and real world issues. Creative engagement and awareness efforts are rarely encouraged or practiced. So, if slogan writing activities are encouraged in schools, students will learn more about environment, more about environmental issues. Similarly, poster making competitions should be there. Visual expression and environmental messaging are not given adequate importance. So there is a need of such messages which are spread in the community through our institutions, through our children. Debates and discussions on environmental issues increase critical thinking in students. So this aspect, critical thinking on environmental issues, is not fostered through discussions. Awareness rallies should be there. Community outreach events to spread environmental sensitivity are rarely organized. So schools, sometimes independently and sometimes in coordination with various NGOs which are taking the issues of environment, schools should organize awareness rallies and they should reach the community. So community outreach events should be organized time to time to spread the message of environmental awareness, environmental protection and beautification of this earth and making this earth a more better place to live. Expert-led events on environment education and sustainability topics should be taken in symposiums. They should be discussed by organizing symposiums in schools so that a larger group of students is involved in thinking about the environmental degradation and in thinking about the problems of environment and to solve them. So what is the impact of this lack of environmental activities? Students miss out on experiential learning, they miss out the real world exposure and the development of environmental values and responsible citizenship. So this is a very, very important aspect, lack of environmental activities, and schools and other stakeholders should think over it, and they should try to increase the environmental activities so that we in real sense are able to address the environmental issues and to make practice upon them and to involve environmental related aspects and activities in the curriculum and in our life. Next challenge that we are facing is lower academic value of environmental education. In comparison to other subjects, children, teacher and authorities are putting less value on environmental education. So environmental education as a subject or as a discipline is widely considered to be of less academic value. So this has to be focused and this has to be understood that environmental education is also of high value and it should be treated of high weightage, it should be given high weightage in the curriculum. Even environmentalism as a career is perceived as having low importance by students, parents and institutions. Schools rarely offer environmental education as a daily subject like mathematics, English or science. Colleges and universities seldom offer it as an honors subject or a recognized career path. In India, we are lagging behind. In other countries, there are full-fledged departments of education, departments of environmental education, where they are running courses in which the students are getting honors degree at graduation level, they are getting master's degree at master's level in environmental education. So it is a need of the hour that environmental education as a main subject, as a core subject should be highlighted and should be emphasized throughout the curriculum at various levels and in different parts of the country. Siddiqui and Khan have observed that students consider environmental education to be of no academic value to them. This perception needs urgent transformation among learners, among intellectuals and the nation as a whole. Enhancing the academic significance of environmental education. There are educational provisions at various levels and the subjects offered in schools and universities signal that environmental issues are secondary. Children and teachers, they take environmental education as a secondary subject. They put greater emphasis on other subjects of science, like they want the ambition of their children to become doctor, engineer. They don't want their children to become environmentalist. Though there are many jobs in the field of environment and in the field of environmental education. So low prestige given to environmental education results into low enrollment, fewer environmental specialists are there, and weaker environmental policy advocacy is the result of this low enrollment. This cycle perpetuates a generation that treats the environment as unimportant in both academia and life. So when they will not emphasize environment and when they will not give due importance to the environment and its related activities, there will be a difficulty in perpetuating the generation and in making the generation more aware. I am taking just a break. This cycle perpetuates a generation that treats the environment as unimportant in both academia and life. National awareness must be raised about the importance of environmental education for future generations. It is the need of the hour and it should not be neglected anymore. The profile of environmental education must be urgently raised in curricula and institutional recognition systems. So, the core message over here is that if we want to treat the environment as if we treat the environment as unimportant in academia, we breed a generation that does the same in life. So, if we want to produce a generation which is environmentally aware, then we should think over this problem and we should give due weightage to the environment and its related issues. Challenge number 5, overburdened curriculum. The children in schools are overburdened with subjects, with their homeworks, with practical works and projects and dissertations. So, no time is left for environmental activities. Unless students learn about environmental issues, they cannot develop environmental solutions. Unless they are aware of solutions, there is no hope they will adopt a corrective lifestyle avoiding environmental degradation. Curriculum framers, therefore, must reduce overemphasized subjects and give more attention to environmental education. CBSE should include at least more than 2 periods per week, this should be cut. At least 2 periods per week are included with relation to environmental education, yet board students treat environmental education and outdoor activities as extra burden. The curriculum burden affects not only learners but also teachers and parents, causing widespread educational stress. There should be a balanced curriculum integration without overload. Environmental education consistently ranks at the bottom of the current subject hierarchy. It is treated as a soft elective rather than a core discipline essential to responsible citizenships. Board exam pressure causes both students and teachers to deprioritize environmental education. Cross-curricular integration, embedding environmental education in science, social studies, maths and languages could reduce the burden. The goal, not merely to add environmental content but to reimagine education around ecological responsibility. This point is a very important point and it should be elaborated at this juncture. What should be the goal? Not to merely add environmental content but to reimagine education around ecological responsibility. So, there is a need to change the mindset. The mindset should be towards environmental protection. A student should be developed into an environmentally fit citizen, an environmentally conscious citizen, so that in his practical life he develops an attitude in such a manner towards the environment that he becomes a responsible citizen of the country. So, curriculum reform must address this structural imbalance by reconsidering subject prioritization of the national level. The next challenge is lack of trained teachers. B.Ed and D.El.Ed teacher training programs rarely include any discussion of environmental issues. Environmental education has been incorporated in the curriculum of B.Ed and D.El.Ed as an optional subject. So, many children do not opt this subject, so it has not been included as a compulsory part of the curriculum in B.Ed and D.El.Ed. So, Mostly teachers who are being trained through these programs are not aware of the environmental issues. Little or no preparation is given to trainees to instill environmental sensitivity in their future students. Training programs can include biological diversity, pollution control, waste management, and wildlife conservation. Field learning tools are critically important yet largely absent from teacher preparation curricula. So, only environmentally awakened and committed teachers can instill environmental responsibility in their learners. So, timely knowledge and experience on environmental issues must also be given to in-service teachers regularly. Building teacher capacity for effective environmental education. B.Ed and D.Ed syllabi must be revised to include dedicated module on environmental awareness and pedagogy. Teacher educators must themselves be retrained in environmental science and sustainable development. It is mandatory that field-based learning components are included and they are built into teacher training, not optional add-ons. In-service professional development must treat environmental education as a priority area for ongoing teacher growth. Teacher competence directly shapes student awareness. Improving teacher training is the highest leverage intervention. Environmental education must be woven through all of teacher preparation, not confined to a single module. Challenge number 7, negligence in eligibility criteria for teachers. The required things are PG in environmental science B.Ed qualification, STET clearance for classes 6 to 10 and DLED for primary levels. And what is the reality? Basic BSc degree only is there. No environmental science specialization is required and may not even be able to define environment. Teaching without proper knowledge or training is there. Establishing robust standards for environmental educators. Underqualified teacher delivering environmental education, the subject suffers in credibility, depth and impact. Students receive incomplete or inaccurate information, undermining environmental literacy and trust in the subject. Unqualified instructors resort to rote teaching, defeating the purpose of experiential environmental learning. Low quality instruction reinforces the student perception that environmental education lacks academic seriousness. Strict enforcement of eligibility norms is not bureaucratic, it is an educational imperative with ecological consequences. So, professional standards for environmental educators must be defined, enforced and continuously upgraded. Challenge 8, lack of career counseling. Students are unaware of the vast and exciting career pathways that environmental education opens up. There are a number of career choices like environmental advisor, UNDP, UNEP, WWF, IUCN, EIA, environmental impact assessment specialist, environmental activist, agricultural technologist, air quality inspector, animal services worker, policy and government roles. These are various career choices with which students do not know. Expanding the environmental career horizon. Environmental science opens doors to policy, to law, research, advocacy, education and corporate sustainability. Global demand is there that it should grow focus on climate change, biodiversity and sustainability, creating unprecedented opportunities. Corporate ESG, environmental, social and governance roles are expanding rapidly across industries worldwide. Government bodies at national and state level actively seek trained environmental officers, inspectors and policy advisors. International organizations like UNDP, UNEP, WWF and CEE offer globally impactful, well compensated positions. Career counseling programs must be updated to reflect these opportunities, inspiring students to pursue environmental education with ambition. Challenge number 9, lack of organizational support. Education is not solely the responsibility of government, teachers, and parents. Every stakeholder must contribute in the field of environmental education. Environmental organizations can spare time sharing their experiences and expertise with educational institutions. These organizations can fund schools and colleges to organize environmental awareness workshops. Cleanliness and conservation activities can be conducted in collaboration with community workers and volunteers. National Council of Science, Technology and Communication can organize environmental campaigns in institutions. Environment is home to all of us, making it a joint responsibility to support environmental education. There is a GLOBE program. The GLOBE program and community engagement is also there, and it should be focused and should be thought about. GLOBE, Global Learning and Observations to benefit the environment. It provides learners opportunities to participate in data collection and scientific processes. Students contribute meaningfully to understanding Earth systems and the global environment. It bridges the gap between classroom learning and real-world environmental monitoring. Community, corporate, and civil society partnerships can transform the reach of environmental education. Here is the summary of this lecture. Summary of challenges part 1. Content and time issues. Content lacks comprehensive and practical emphasis. No first-hand or field-based learning is integrated. Environmental education is taught only 1 to 2 times per week at the most. CBSE guidelines exist but not meaningfully implemented. Scheduled is marginal, low priority time slots. Activities and academic value. Activities limited to annual plantation drives only. Debates, field visits, symposiums remain unused. Environmental education is seen as academically unimportant by most of the students, rarely offered as a daily or honors subject. Environmental careers are unknown to most students. Students are overburdened with mainstream subjects. There is no time left for environmental engagement. Teachers receive no environmental education training in B.Ed and D.El.Ed. Unqualified teachers are there to teach environmental education. Only BSc teachers are teaching environmental education. Eligibility criteria for environmental education teachers is not enforced. Career and organizational support is lacking. Students are unaware of vast environmental education career options. International organizations are remaining unknown to most of the students. Organizational support from NGOs and institutions is less. GLOBE and similar programs are not integrated in schools. Community collaboration for environmental education is rarely practiced. So the conclusion is, make the curriculum practical, fees-based and directly connected to real environment. Elevate the status of environmental education. Enforce eligibility. Strictly enforce proper eligibility criteria when recruiting environmental education teachers. More time per week should be allotted, and environmental education should be treated as a core subject, not an elective. Trained teachers should be mandatory. Environmental awareness and training modules should be there in all teacher education programs, and we should try to encourage NGOs, government bodies and international agencies to fund environmental workshops. There is no living without home and no life without environment. So eco-unfriendly human deeds lead to pollution, global warming, soil erosion and they must be immediately controlled. Education plays a vital role in sensitizing humans, but only if education itself is reformed first. 9 systematic challenges in content, time, activities, academic value, curriculum, training, eligibility, career, and support have been discussed. Immediate steps required are to improve content, increase time, integrate environmental education as a career, upgrade teacher preparation, and these are the abbreviations, the terms we have included in the lecture. CEE stands for Center for Environmental Education, IUCN International Union for Conservation of Nature, UNDP United Nations Development Programme, UNEP United Nations Environment Programme. WWF here is referred to Worldwide Fund for Nature, known as World Wildlife Fund in the United States and Canada. These are the references. Thank you so much.